Hey everyone, welcome to the next lesson where we're going to talk about choosing your business model. Now that we looked at all the different types of business models in the last lesson and went over an overview of everything, kind of the pros and cons about both and just my opinions and experience in dealing with them. Now the obvious next question is, which business model is right for you? And again, this video is going to be targeted more towards people on the newer end of the e-commerce spectrum because there's a lot of different options out there. All right, e-commerce is a really, really broad field, and you should make a decision based on understanding your options, understanding what's going to be best for you, not just looking at what somebody else is doing or some webinar you saw or some screenshot, right? Because so much of that stuff can just be pure hype, and you really need to make a decision based on what's going to be best for you. Otherwise, it's going to be much more difficult for you to find success. So a few things to consider right away. Number one, I think the biggest thing that is going to be affecting anybody watching this is startup cash. All right, startup cash is huge because this is going to determine, right? Some businesses require a lot more startup cash than others. Now, I want to note right here from the start, right, as a side note, we're going to spend a little bit of time on this slide. I want to note that it's incredible with an online business, no matter which business you choose, even if you go the private label route or the subscription route, you're going to be able to get started for probably a fraction of the cost as it would cost to normally set up some type of retail store, right? Some type of brick and mortar location, because there's no overhead of the actual brick and mortar location. There's no overhead of the employees. And if anybody is watching this that owns a brick and mortar store or some type of retail spot, then you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, right? That's a huge, huge investment, all right? So I want you to keep that in perspective as you're thinking about this, because you got to, number one, be thinking about, are you in this for the long term, or are you just here because you thought this was some kind of quick cash grab, all right? And I am not about teaching the cash grab, make money online side of things. Sure, we are here to make money online, right? That's what e-commerce is. We are selling things online and collecting money from people that we don't know that are paying us, and we're able to make an amazing life from that. But it doesn't mean it's not difficult, and it doesn't mean it's not a long-term process that you need to really be thinking about. So when you're looking at startup cash, you need to be thinking not in terms of like, how cheap can I be to get started? You need to be really considering, what am I willing to invest right now to build the best business possible? Okay, because you shouldn't be looking at this as like, oh, how cheap can I try to get started to make a couple $1,000, right? That's the wrong mindset. And you should go find another course, okay? Because this course is designed to teach people true business practices of what I've learned and studied and experienced. And one of the things is it's going to require startup cash, right? I've invested tens of thousands of dollars in my education over the years into my businesses to be able to get to this point, okay? And some of that money was burned and lost, and some of it produced really high returns, okay? So there's no right answer, wrong answer to this question. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, which businesses cost more, which cost less? Nick, how much is it going to cost me to get started? And that's fair. So number one thing you have to consider when it comes to startup cash is whether you're going alone or you're going with a mentor or some type of coach, okay? Personally, I got started without any type of coach, but I do believe coaches can be a really powerful thing. That's why there's an Ecom Empires coaching program, but I'm not here to pitch that to you because it's completely your personal decision. But it's going to require a lot more startup cash if you are getting a coach, because you're going to be paying that coaching program for the time and investment, which is usually going to be at least a few $1,000s, right? So in terms of just money that you need to get started, there's a few things. You have to think about your marketing budget, and you have to think about your ability to pay for actual orders, right? Your cost of goods sold. So these are a few things that you have to consider. So I would recommend, no matter what, that you want to have, a comfortable number would be $2,000 at least to get started in even the lowest barrier to entry business models like drop shipping and print on demand, right? And in print on demand, you have even a little bit more of an investment because you have to invest in your designs, right? Which is going to be a few $100s probably getting started to get some designs made. Okay, so definitely, but if you consider that again, right, like let's just put this in perspective. If you're like a new person watching this, I mean, you're talking about $2,000 to $3,000 to start a business that can become $1 million a year business, right? And like you pay $100,000 to go to college for 4 years, and that's your guarantee there is a 40-year job paying you $30,000 a year. So, like, keep it in perspective, and definitely just think about what you have to start. Okay. So, next thing, strengths and weaknesses. You want to play to your strengths, right? If you don't really understand print on demand and design, then that's probably a more difficult path to go. If you don't understand branding, you're not going to start out trying to build your own private label, right? Generally, drop shipping is where people start because it's a good way to test and it's a good way to get started. Business experience, same thing. If you don't have any business experience, you want to start with a low risk model because you can learn as you go. Now, I'm going to try to give you as much experience and wisdom as I can throughout this course, but again, you want to be thinking about that. You're not going to jump right into a subscription model if you have no business experience. You're probably going to end up burning a lot of money if you do that. Okay, so again, just consider where you're at in the business experience, and also consider, right, like you may not want to get started right away if you have zero business experience. You might want to take some time to learn some things and go through some case studies and watch some courses like this so you can understand the model. All right, existing assets. Okay, this is going to apply to most people when they get started like me have no existing assets. But if you're a small business owner, or if you already have some type of product or a brand, that's obviously going to skew the direction of the business model that you choose. Maybe a subscription model, or selling your own product, or private labeling something, right? So your existing assets matter. And then finally, probably one of the most important ones next to startup cash is your business goals. Okay, you need to be thinking about your goals and why you're doing this. Again, I hope you're not thinking about this in terms of like, how cheap can I be to just try to make some money quickly, because those people rarely are the ones that ever make the money. Okay, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's very difficult if you come from that type of mindset, which we're going to talk about mindset in the next module. But you want to think about your goals. You're here to build a long-term business. What type of business do you want to build? Are you here to build an apparel business? Are you here to build your own private label brand? Are you here to find one really cool, unique product that can change the world, right? Like, what are your business goals? And you're going to use that to kind of steer your direction. Now, getting into my suggestions, okay? I suggest you start with a form of dropshipping or print on demand if you're brand new. Okay, and then your business can evolve, private labeling, subscription, or it doesn't necessarily need to evolve into a different business model. It could simply scale into better operations, right? Like a dropshipping business can be a multi-million, $10 million a year business. But at that level, you're going to have better operations. You're going to have a better supply chain. You're going to have better logistics. You're probably going to be working with a lot of high-level, company partners, like on the fulfillment side and on the operations side, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to evolve into a different business, but you are going to want to evolve eventually. Drop shipping, print on demand is something that can also evolve. I told you about that company Gear Bunch. I know that they're doing millions of dollars a year in sales. There's companies like Canvas Cultures and Iconic that are multi-million-dollar companies, right? And they've evolved from basic startup print on demand to high-level print on demand, doing millions of dollars in sales. So obviously their operations have had to evolve. But either way, if you're brand new, I suggest you start with one or the other. Now, again, it's important to note here that there are a lot of haters on dropshipping. Mostly these are the experts that are out there, the people that have been in e-commerce for a long time before dropshipping started, and the people that are running like high-level performance advertising. Drop shipping is just a business model, okay? All it means is that you are getting products fulfilled through a third-party supplier. It does not have to be a bad business model, all right? There are ways to make it a good business model, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how do you do quality drop shipping? How do you turn this into something that is not associated with all the bad stuff you might hear out there about drop shipping, okay? And I'm going to talk about a way that you can, what I call the hybrid business model that combines drop shipping and print on demand. But again, this is where I would start. And if you are completely new and you have no design skills, print on demand might be a little bit tougher, but it doesn't mean it's out of your reach. Again, I have some training in the future to hopefully open your eyes and your world to print on demand and how accessible this is to start a business. If you have your own product idea or you're already some type of store or small business, then I suggest you focus on expanding your existing operations into an e-commerce channel. All right, I get asked this question a lot by people that come from like actual business background experience. They're like, oh, should I sell my own product or should I just start drop shipping a different product? And the truth is, you could go either way, right? I know people that had their own product and they just started taking drop shipping courses and learned how to just start drop shipping and building something new. So that's an option. But personally, if you have a product you've built and you have some type of brand that you've dedicated and you've spent a lot of time building and setting up, it makes sense to me to expand that first into an e-commerce channel, right? And then from there, focus on other things. But I always think about it from the terms of maximizing what you have before moving to something else. So, and when it comes to fulfilling your own products, usually it's best to start local, then go national, then go global, okay? It's important to understand that no matter what model you choose, it should not be random. Okay, so what I mean by that is that you want to understand what market of people you want to sell to. Don't just randomly say, okay, I'm going to just start drop shipping cat products, right? Just because I saw somebody else's drop shipping cat products. You need to actually do the market research, put in the time to understand like who your audience is and what products you want to sell. And we're going to talk about that in the future. Personally, again, personal opinion, I think dropshipping is great because you can search for product ideas on sites like Amazon and AliExpress, and then you can find ideas that solve a problem or offer some type of unique solution to improve someone's life. Now, I'm not talking about sourcing at this point, okay, because I think that sourcing from AliExpress is a thing of the past, right? Because it's just too uncontrollable with quality and shipping times. But there are amazing millions of product ideas on AliExpress and new ones being added all the time. There's really nobody in the world, in my opinion, better than China at manufacturing. They're able to take ideas from zero to able to ship in an incredible amount of time. And of course, Amazon too is the world's largest marketplace, online marketplace, where you can find so many unique items and so many are being added all the time, right? So just an example here where you can actually start getting some ideas of categories that are out there and thinking about where do I want to sell? What do I want to do? Okay, it's easy to go and see this. You can go to Amazon and look at the drop-down menu. These are all categories. Now, you're not going to sell at that broad level of a category, but it gives you a starting point of matching your strengths of like what business model do I think makes sense for me to get started, and trying to blend that with, okay, what am I interested in? Do I want to sell garden and outdoor products? Do I want to sell home and kitchen products? Do I want to sell luxury beauty products, right? You might be like, okay, well, I want to sell the one that makes the most money, but I guarantee you that in any one of these categories, you can build a multi-million-dollar business. How can I say that? Because it's just the truth, right? There are going to be million-dollar businesses built in every single one of these categories this year. Okay, it is just an economical law of truth. You don't have to be a billionaire to be able to say that you can start a business in any one of these categories and be successful, because the categories are just that large, right? There's so much room and opportunity for anybody to come into these categories and start making money. Now, again, I'm not saying that makes it easy, but it makes it so that you don't have to be like, okay, well, handmade tools going to make more money than home and kitchen, right? Like you have to pick it based on, in a way, I don't necessarily just believe in the whole idea of, well, sell what you're passionate about. I mean, that can work, but if you're passionate about something that doesn't have a matching market, then it's not necessarily going to matter. But you should think about what you're interested in. Because one thing I can tell you, if you're starting with drop shipping, that it's not very fulfilling. I've talked to a lot of people, myself included, where you're selling products that you don't care about. It's not very fulfilling, right? So it's more fulfilling to have a category that you're interested in and then find a business model that matches that and is going to allow you to sell products and build a business in that. And the place that you can go to get started is by going to Amazon and looking at the categories, clicking through them, seeing what kind of products they're selling, right? AliExpress, you can come here and you can see all of their categories, okay? And AliExpress even takes it further and breaks it into subcategories. So as you can see here, if I hover over the home and garden appliance, then you see all these subcategories. And each one of these subcategories, the thing is, these are all big enough categories, again, to build a successful business, no matter who you are or when you're getting started, right? You could come into any one of these, scrapbook and stamping. You could start a dropship business doing that. You could come down here to office furniture. You could start a dropship business doing that. Now, again, think about your startup cash, right? It's going to be a lot more difficult to start an office furniture business with like zero capital than it would be to start scrapbook and stamping, because the product price is higher. And you know, like, okay, well, Nick, people pay me beforehand, and yeah, that's true, but you want to have some room for what happens if there's a refund or a return, or I get multiple orders, and so like you just want to think about these kinds of things, okay? And again, I'm offering you my opinion, but I'm offering you my opinion as somebody who's helped thousands and thousands of people now do this the right way and figure out the right way to build a strategy and find a business and find a category and start selling. So I know this is like a very high level overview at this point, and don't worry, we're going to get into deeper facets of market research and product research, but nobody can answer this for you. That's the thing. All I can do is show you the pros and cons, give you my opinion about the experience and how each different type of business model works, and kind of point you in the direction of how you should be thinking about this. But at the end of the day, you've got to make a decision. At the end of the day, as the entrepreneur, as the CEO of your own business, you're the one that's going to have to make a choice and stick with it. But one thing that I can tell you is don't hang up on this too much, right? I know from my own experience and from talking with others, sometimes people get stuck here and they just get stuck in paralysis analysis, where you are just thinking about it and overthinking it, right? You make a list and start, if you're brand new, right, make a list and start going through some ideas and start looking at a few different options of what you're most interested in, and then take those ideas, and when we get to the market research phase, you'll see ways that you can analyze each idea and kind of identify which one you think would be the best to grow a profitable business in. But you want to just, like, you want to move, because the quicker you get started and start testing things, the quicker you're going to get to the real solution. It's not going to be perfect when you start, no matter what. There's going to be adjustments, and you're going to edit things and have to fix things and maybe change trajectories, especially if you're brand new. So don't get intimidated by the idea of failing. The people that get intimidated by the idea of failing are often the people that never find success simply because they weren't able to overcome that paralysis, and it clouds their thinking, right? You just want to think about all these categories being wide open opportunities, right? Because we're going to talk about creativity when we get to the mindset thing, and I'm going to talk to you about how you can kind of not think about this in a bubble so that you're just focused on the competition. Because the reality is, any one of these categories can be profitable, right? Like I said, any one of these categories you could build a successful business. The X factor is you and the type of business you want to build, and the type of brand you're creating, and the type of marketing that you're doing, right? So you pick something that, pick a few ideas that makes sense to you, that you find yourself interested in, and then as we go through here, you'll be able to narrow in on what you feel like is the best one. But just don't get too hung up on this, because it is important. But if you're brand new, like, you're just at the start of a very long journey, you know, and so you wanna realize that any one of these, you know, I could pick kitchen knives and accessories, it's profitable. Wall clocks, profitable. Curtains, profitable, right? So, like, whatever one you feel like you can actually spend some time in and do the work is probably going to be the best one, as long as you're sticking to a major market type of category. Okay? Finally, it's important to note, or not finally, but it's also important to note that not all dropshipping suppliers are equal, okay? Now, you're still going to see big automation tools out there like Overwhelm and Shopify, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with these tools. I think they're amazing softwares. But the truth is that they drop ship straight from AliExpress, okay? Now, if you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about here, don't worry. We're going to talk about this more in depth in the drop shipping module, but I don't recommend this, because one of the most important things in this business is being able to control your supply chain. And if you're drop shipping straight from like AliExpress, you're not controlling your supply chain, and you're putting yourself at risk for a terrible customer experience, which can get your business shut down by Shopify, get your business shut down by whatever platform you're running ads on, like Facebook. So understand there are different types of suppliers out there. There's US wholesale suppliers, or there's direct supply chains from China that can get items to you much quicker with better quality control and, you know, good tracking, fast shipping. And I'm actually going to give you my supplier when we get to the drop shipping module, because it's a direct link to China that can actually get items into Europe and the US in 7 days, and you're going to get quality control, and you're going to get multiple shipping options, and you're going to get like all these advantages that don't come with something like Overwhelm or Shopify when you're just randomly selecting suppliers and hoping for the best, okay? So please note that when it comes to drop shipping, your supplier is going to make or break your business when it comes to drop shipping. Print on demand, we talked about, and the reason I'm highlighting print on demand and drop shipping again is because, you know, as you're thinking about your category, I'm gonna talk about a good business model that I recommend for new people. Print on demand is amazing, as I mentioned, because you can specifically target a market of people. Let's say like veterans. I'm a veteran. Okay, so somebody could create a brand around veteran t-shirts and keychains, and, you know, and just fill a store with those types of items. It's harder to be copied because they're building a brand around it, right? And they're creating unique designs, and they're getting unique items. So it's easier to differentiate yourself through that creativity and through that branding. Now, the drawback to print on demand is generally that margins are going to be a little bit smaller and shipping is more expensive. But still, you know, with print on demand, there's a lot of advantages to it that overcome this. And really, when you know how to set up your store and sell, like to be able to create higher average order values so that people are spending more money with you, the margins become less of a problem. Okay, it's just all about understanding how to build your business. So here's an example, if you're brand new to print on demand, the different types of stuff that's out there, right? Like you can see these t-shirts, flip-flops, like you can print on so many different items now. It's incredible, okay? And that's why this is such an amazing opportunity, because I can take any design I want and put it on a shirt, and then I can specifically use ads to show that shirt to people I know are already interested in that type of niche, in that type of design, okay? And that's why print on demand can be such a great opportunity. All right, and again, the amount of products that you can sell on, and it's like the possibilities are limitless. The only limit is your creativity, and that's why I love the print on demand business model. Now, again, as with print on demand, as with drop shipping, not all print suppliers are equal. You need to find a print supplier that's going to give you a good product selection, that's going to have transparent pricing with good margins so you can actually make money. They're going to have excellent quality items so that your customers are happy, and they're going to give you fantastic customer support. All right, and believe it or not, this is not all suppliers. Again, same thing. There's a lot of suppliers out there, and there's a lot of bad suppliers out there. So I'm also going to give you my supplier, which I believe to be the best global printing network out there right now for anybody brand new all the way up to super experienced multi-million-dollar seller. I'm going to connect you with that print supply company, fulfillment partner, when we get to the print on demand module. Okay, I'm creating specific training for both dropshipping and print on demand, excuse me. So finally, I want to talk about the hybrid business model. And this is basically what I believe is the best area for any new person to start. All right, this is where you're gonna, it's called hybrid because it's a blend between these different sides. So on the side of choosing your niche, right, and we're going to talk about this more in depth, but on the side of choosing your niche, there's general and there's niche. We'll talk about that more. But here's what I want to focus on right now. Print on demand versus drop shipping. You can do both on the same store. And I believe they actually blend together really well for most niches, because with print on demand, you get like the branding, the customized items, personalized items, really good product offerings that can help build your business. With drop shipping, you can still find viral products that have higher margins. They're great for front end products that are going to bring people into your store. There's products that solve problems, and so print on demand complements that very well. This was actually the business model that I got started with all those years ago. I was drop shipping products, and as I was selling things in a certain niche, I realized, hey, I could actually design shirts in this niche too. And so I just started designing some shirts and putting them on my store, and people started buying them. And all of a sudden, these products here that I was drop shipping that had a decent margin, now I had all these additional upsells and cross sells that were bringing my overall margins even higher and helping me make more money. Okay, so I like the hybrid business model as a way to get started, where you are you're able to both drop ship products and also do print on demand. And an example again could be, I said golf is an example, veterans is an example, dogs could be an example too, where you sell dog beds and you also sell t-shirts designed for dog lovers, right? So there's multiple ways that can work. And I think that this is a really fantastic, solid way for anybody to get started. And we're going to break this down more in depth as we go through the training. All right, so thank you for watching. I will see you in the next lesson.